Okay, let's get the elephant out of the room here. Yes, my hair is greasy. No, I have not taken a shower. Yes, there is a reason why my boiler is broken, and I can't do anything about that today. Anyway, the point of the video is not that. The point of the video is South Park Snow Day, a game that came out 2-3 days ago now. I've been playing it, uploading on my main channel, and I've been enjoying it for an hour or two. And then that's kind of where it teeters off a bit. Now, before I go into the reason why the game isn't amazing, I'm going to just clear the air a bit with some things people have been saying online. First of all, a few people have been saying that the game looks really bad. I don't know what the fuck they're smoking. They must be on some fucking loopy juice, something that's altering the chemistry of their brain, because the game looks incredible. It's not even a case of, oh, the game kind of looks okay, especially because it's the first time they're doing 3D, you know, cut them some slack. Like, the game actually looks really good. I genuinely don't know where they're getting the stigma that the game looks bad, because it looks really good. Does it look 2D and as polished as the other games? No, obviously not. But is it an incredible attempt at a 3D game for their first time? And again, I don't even want to put that in your head. It's not a fact of give them some applause because they're doing something different. In general, it's just a very good looking game. The snow looks very good. The characters look very good. All the animation of the different moves, even though they don't really use that many like great graphics or whatever, like you don't need great graphics to do them. The game still looks incredibly good. So I genuinely don't know where people are getting all that stigma that the game looks bad from. I think it's just very crazy notion to think that. The next thing people complain about is the game being really bad in terms of like the actual gameplay and combat. Again, I can see where people would say the gameplay is very samey and gets very boring very quickly. I can understand that. I have fallen now for the trap of that game. I've literally just finished playing the game. I still think I can play a bit more of it and enjoy it. But from the first hour where you're like, wow, the gameplay is very good, I'm really enjoying this, to then you get literally to the second or third hour and you're like, wow, that got very samey, very quick. There's like 3 weapons in each category that you can pick, and that being your wand and your axe or melee weapon, and that's it. That's literally it. The other things that people complain about is the audio. Didn't really have any problems with the audio. Some things sound a bit weird, kind of, but I mean, overall, it's all right. And the other thing people complain about is, God, I forgot what the other thing was. The other thing was glitches. That was it. Again, the only glitch I found is that sometimes my NPC teammates just break and die for whatever reason. Literally, I will look at them sometimes and they will just die for no reason. They'll just be on the ground, which I don't know why that happens. But other than that, like, the game pretty much ran fine. Everything loaded in perfectly, apart from one time with the DLC. But I think that's because I downloaded it while the game was on, and that kind of made the game go a bit loopy. I don't know. But again, no problems with any glitches or anything. So even with those things that I'm trying to protect the game from, I think the only thing that I can really say is good quality, like very good quality, is the graphics. Everything else, and the reason I'm talking about South Park Snow Day, is the game is incredibly, and I mean incredibly, bland. I spoke about this a lot on my main channel, and the 2 main things you're looking for in South Park, not just games or the shows, just in general for South Park, are 2 main things. The first one is jokes. This game lacks insensitive jokes to the nth degree. The great thing about South Park is that it makes incredibly insensitive jokes, and the reason it gets away with it is because it kind of pokes fun at every group. No group is left like unjoked about, like whether it's your religion, whether it's the things you like, whether it's your ethnicity, whether it's how much money you make, whether it doesn't matter. In every corner of everywhere in the world, South Park will find a way to make a joke about you. Yet there's nothing about that in this game. The only jokes that they make is fuck you, suck my balls, shit, maybe some little dumb kiddie jokes, and then there's a play on words with Kyle. He doesn't even call Kyle a Jew anymore. He just calls him a Drew because he's like a druid type thing, I think. And Drew kind of sounds like Jew, and he goes, Kyle, you stupid Drew. Doesn't even call him a Jew. The only semi-insensitive joke that they do, well, it is an insensitive joke. The only insensitive joke that they make in the game is Cartman calls someone like a gaylord or gay something, which, in my opinion, is even worse than just being completely insensitive. Because the thing is, if you're being insensitive in general through the whole game or the whole series, at least you can make the case of, hey, we're making fun of everyone. No one's feeling left out. We're not racist. We're not homophobic. We're not whatever. And at that point, you could be like, hey, they're making fun of everyone. No one's like, who cares? But I think it looks even worse for the game. If you make 0 insensitive jokes, it literally feels like the game is trying to pull away from being insensitive and then making fun of one particular group, i.e. being people who are gay or lesbian. So it's weird. I don't know why they did that. Literally, that's one of the cornerstones of South Park. It's one of the reasons a lot of people watch South Park is for the really hardcore, insensitive jokes, which it's not even that they pulled back on in this game, is that it's non-existent. It's literally non-existent. They have it throughout none of the game. And for the first hour or two of the game, I kind of thought, okay, maybe they're just pulling it back from the start of the game a little bit and then going to reintroduce it through the game. And they just have not. It was never in the game. They kind of, towards the end, especially in the last chapter, you kind of started seeing bits of South Park with like really stupid bosses. Okay, spoiler for literally 5 seconds. You ready? The last boss is Hanky, and he turns into like this big shit earthworm, whatever. Anyway, I won't continue to talk about that in case of spoilers. But that type of thing you don't see in the game, and that's very South Park. Like, you have a very stupid situation going on, and here it is, which you don't see in the game. You literally just fight against kids throughout the majority of the game. And they also do make some little stupid jokes here or there, which are a bit more stupid than just a fuck you, suck my balls type of thing at the start of the game. But again, still a very big lack of insensitive jokes throughout the game. The other thing that the game really doesn't do or help itself in any capacity, which is the other thing that they're really good at, is storytelling. In every South Park episode, movie, even the last 2 games, they're really good at giving you a story. You have to play or watch through it, and at the end you're like, wow, what the fuck have I watched? That was great. This is South Park. But in this game, there is none of that. The story is basically non-existent. I think if you were to get every single cutscene throughout the whole game, you would struggle to get 10-15 minutes out of those cutscenes. Whereas if you go back to Fractured Butthole or the other ones, even through the game, you get like little bits of flavor dialogue for the story. But if you just go to the cutscenes in the last games, I'm pretty sure you could get anywhere between half an hour to an hour worth of cutscenes. I think. I'm not 100% sure. But it felt like you were a lot more immersed in the story in the last games than this one. It just felt like there was nothing in the game in terms of story-wise. Like, there is a very basic story of Mr. Hanky and the dark matter and stuff like that. I'm trying not to go into spoilers in case anyone cares. I don't know why you would, but just in case anyone cares. There's a very basic story, but it feels like they just do nothing with it. And those 2 things are the reasons you're going to watch, play, or do anything with South Park, in my opinion. But then you go into the gameplay, which is the main focus. They've come out and they've said, hey, we want this gameplay to... They basically said they wanted this game to have more longevity than the other games. Because the other games, because they're mainly storyline games, you play them, you finish them, maybe you come back for 1 or 2 goes, you know, collect all the chimp Pokemon stuff, get your weapons to max level, whatever. I can't really remember the last few games very well. But that's the type of things you do, and then you put the game down. Whereas this one, they kind of want to put, you know, more content in, keep rolling out. I think they want to go down the route of microtransactions, which I fucking hate the idea of. I really hate the fact that they've sacrificed the 2 main elements that make South Park South Park, and I'm going to keep reiterating that. I know I have already loads of times, but I'm going to keep doing it because that is what makes South Park South Park. That they've sacrificed that to make a game that's going to have longevity, and the gameplay isn't up to scratch for that. Like, if you're going to give up those 2 things, really hammer down on the gameplay. Really hammer down on the amount of weapons you have, on the amount of upgrades you have. Even on the arenas get very samey. Like, extremely samey. You think in the South Park game that's 3D, you're going to be in loads of places like the school. Never mentioned in the thing. The park, which you could say some levels are the park, but it doesn't really look like the park from the game, but whatever. The town hall, never seen in the game. The school, you kind of walk through it in the trailer, but in the actual areas that you have to go through the game, you never see it. One of the kids' houses, you don't see it. You actually don't see any of that. Some of the NPCs you play with are just random NPCs. Why do you not give us Kyle, Stan, Tweak, Butters? Like, there's so many characters to pick from. Even adults. Adults come into the game. Let's play with some adults, something like that. Why are you giving us random characters that we don't care about? And with those characters, you can have flavor text throughout the game. It, again, would add more to the game instead of just having these random NPCs that don't say anything that we don't care about. So I really feel like they've kind of sacrificed comedy and story for longevity, and I genuinely feel like people are going to play this game and put it down. I guarantee you, 80%, at least 80% of the people who have bought this game have put it down and will never touch the game again. I'm going to try to see if I can 100% the game, because I spent so much money on it now. I guess I'll play some of the content that comes out. But I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if I don't play this game again. Now, before I end the video or continue or whatever I decide to do, I don't really have a plan for any of these videos. They're kind of just me talking. The game isn't bad. The game is not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It is just painfully, and I mean painfully mediocre. And it's so sad because the last two games were close to masterpieces. I thought the gameplay was very tight. The turn-based was very, very beautiful. I really enjoyed the turn-based of the game. They had some really fun weapons to pick from, and a good amount of fun weapons to pick from. The story was beautiful. The jokes were really funny. Everything just landed in the last games. To going from this, where at best, apart from the visuals, because I think I will still stand by saying the visuals are very, very good looking. But apart from the visuals, everything is at best mediocre. Like, actually mediocre in the game. And it's very sad because I really look up to South Park games because it feels like for the last two, it feels like they're a sort of From Software where like they really take care of the game. They really want to put every little bit of detail and every little bit of love into the game. And then you go to this one where it really feels like they just did not care. The voice actors had very minimal lines to do in the game. There was no story. The gameplay is all right, and it gets very samey after a while. The areas are very... They just keep giving you the same enemies. They just keep rolling out enemies until, like, after an hour's passed, and they're like, okay, you can go. Okay, you're in the next area. Let me give you the same amount of enemies again. It's just... It is a very painfully mid game. For the people who say, oh, this game's amazing, it's not. It's mid. For the people who say the game's awful, I hate the game, I can see where they're coming from, but again, I would disagree with that. It's just a meh game. And if you are looking to get it, if it's $5 pounds, I'd say that's a good price. You should get it for that. It's a good game for that price. £10 is still a bit expensive. £10, dollars, whatever. It's still a bit expensive, but if you want to get it for that, I wouldn't say, hey, how fucking dare you spend your money like that, whatever. Anything more than £10, dollars, no, it's not worth it. Like, even if they add some content, I'm really scared to see what content they add, to be honest with you. But even if they add content, more than £10 is not worth it. They give you a free DLC, and the DLC is literally a wave game. They could have just left that in the game. And yet they add it as a DLC for literally no reason. I don't know why they have done that way, but I don't know. I think it's to say, hey, look, people are buying the DLC and playing it, so look how good the game is, when that's just not going to be the case. It's a free DLC. The game feels very lackluster. We've paid £30 for it, so we're obviously going to download the DLC. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to just leave it there, or else I could genuinely continue just rambling on about this game. It's a game I was genuinely looking forward to, like, genuinely from the bottom of my heart. I love South Park, and I loved the last two games. But, oh god, is it painfully mediocre. Like, genuinely, from every aspect, painfully mediocre. But, yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.